Hello, folks joining me tonight. I appreciate you guys spending the evening with me here. Got a couple folks already reaching out a little bit over in the live or in the side chat. Uh, Joel asks if there's a date set for the dedication of Baldershof yet. There is. Contact your local folk builder. Actually, contact Brandy Callahan, and she can get you the information. We're not being super public about that date right now, just because of all of the I don't know, all of the hate we're getting from various fake news sources about it. So we want to, I don't know, not invite undue attention on that. But yeah, we're making great progress. We're getting set very soon to have the grand opening of Baldershof and the dedication. Our people out there have put in amazing work, done beautiful things with that place. We're very excited about that. Mary, you are very welcome. Folks that may not know, okay, so we've got a lot of topics tonight, actually. Mary on the side mentions, thanks to everybody who posted pictures on VK. Some of you may or may not know, but there was a massive purge by various left-wing and mainstream social media earlier this month that found the AFA and many other groups that are not subscribing to a leftist worldview deplatformed. So the Ask True Folk Assembly was kicked off of Facebook as well as Instagram. We did not violate any of their community standards, but there's a purge going on in this country on social media and in the public square, and unfortunately that hit us last month. So is what it is. YouTube is a very good outlet for us right now. We're exploring a lot of other options. We're looking forward to getting back involved with Parler when Parler opens back up. But in the meantime, we've been very active on VK, working on our page, establishing the pages for our Hofs there, and getting right back to what we do. So I appreciate you guys bearing with us on that. Also, this last month, we had the regional event Thorfest in Colorado, and that's a Four Corners regional event, and that was really nice. That's always a very nice event. Jason Plurd, the folk builder for that area, has put this on for 3 years now, and it's always a very nice time. It's a very friendly, intimate atmosphere to get to know members and folks in that area. I've enjoyed it every year so far. I'm looking forward to going back next year. But yeah, thanks, Jason, for hosting that and making that such a success. Also, this coming weekend, we have the first AFA national event in the Northwest in several years now. So we've got that going on. Charming of the Plow in Washington State. Joe Rosenik is taking the lead in hosting that, our folk builder up in that area, and he's got some great help by the leadership up that way, and I'm looking very excited to that. I'm going to drive up that way probably on Thursday, and I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you as can possibly make that event. If you have any last minute folks that want to go, do reach out to Joe Rosenik. Hopefully Mandy can link him up in the side chat there. Hey, Michaela, great. I'm glad that you reached out to your folk builder. I'm sure they will get back to you. And I hope that moves forward really, really well. I really appreciate your interest, and I'm glad you're here tonight. All right. Well, there it is. There's the link for Joe over there on the side. Anybody wanting to go to Charming of the Plow, or anybody who's interested that finds themselves in British Columbia, Alberta, Washington, Oregon, Montana, or Idaho, please do reach out to Joe Rosenik over on the side, and he'd love to get you connected. Yeah, so that brings us up on a couple of things. One thing that I did want to talk with folks tonight about a little bit is And while I do this, if we can get folks with questions or whatever that want to ask on the side, we'll get that all set up. And I'd be happy to answer any of you guys' questions. But in the meantime, I wanted to touch a little bit on Alcitru and relationships. Um, Relationship building is the fundamental bedrock that Alcitru is based on. And I want try to help folks understand that because I think it's really important. Everything that we do is based upon relationships. Our ritual structure, our bloats, it's all part of a gifting cycle with the gods. And our interactions with each other are part of a gifting cycle with our folk. Um, that was always the essential to Alcitru, is valuing your life and yourself by your position in your community, by what you brought to your community, by what worth you had amongst your folk. And we do that as the Alcitru Folk Assembly with establishing our worth before the gods. And that's all about relationship building. Alcitru doesn't mean belief in the gods. It doesn't mean knowing a lot of facts about the gods, but it means troth with, it means loyalty to the Aesir. And you build that through relationships. And, we get I hear from a lot of folks wondering how to get started, and they're very concerned about how to perform a bloat or to make sure they're doing it right, or how do you pray in Alcitru. And I really appreciate the sentiment. I really appreciate the sincere concern by those new people. But I want to allay some of that fear and concern. And I want to say that it's about making that effort, and it's about opening yourself up to the divine, and it's about putting the best intentions forward and letting good things happen because of it. It's beyond our understanding to fully grasp every bit of the gods. As we grow as Alcitru, we come to know them better, but our human mind will never comprehend all of the depth and breadth of divinity. Now, hopefully, we comprehend much more of it by the time we pass through the veil than we have right now. But the very least we can do, the very first step we can do, and I don't think this is insulting, I think this is genuine, is to use the basis of everything we have for empathy and for understanding as people. We put ourselves in their situation. We imagine our gods not simply as people, but as the very best people. And we work from there in our understanding. Now, if that's the case, how would you feel if you had folks genuinely reach out to you? Or how would you feel when you're one of the ancestors and your descendants reach out to you? Would you be more concerned that they followed a formula, or that they read a script, or that they were super knowledgeable on your life? Or would you genuinely appreciate them coming with an open heart and doing their best and opening up and just reaching out to you and telling you, how much they care and how much they want to get to know you? And I think the answer is the latter and not the former. If you think how you are as a person when you're approached, do you have a relationship with someone who stalks you and knows all about your life and knows about your credit history and whatever else? Or to somebody who reaches out a hand, who gives you a hug, who shares a meal with you, and who genuinely cares about getting to know you and building a relationship? And that may sound silly, but I think we need to approach Alcitru in the same way. It's not that we shouldn't develop deep understanding of the gods and we shouldn't study things. Of course we should. But the most important thing is going out there and actually doing Alcitru, actually practicing our faith, actually building relationships. And the same goes with the folk. I hear a lot of people that say, they'll proudly talk about how they're individual practitioners. And that's not something to be, it's not something to be proud of. One can certainly individually practice Alcitru, but you're missing out on so much of it if you do. It's certainly better than nothing, but House of True is about those relationships you build with your community, with your ancestors, and with your gods. And I think that's really important. Hmm. So I'm looking, what kind of questions do we have tonight? What do you guys want to talk about? Hmm. Mary, I see you over on the side asking about virtual gatherings. Certainly, folks can have Zoom meetings and Zoom interactions. Um, and with COVID restrictions, it has been more difficult. But we've been hosting our gatherings where we can in our own homes, in places where we're able to be outside, and certainly at our hofs. And we've hosted those unaffected by the COVID precautions this whole year, which has been a real blessing. I really encourage you to try to come out and meet with people in real life because it's still going on right now. But if folks in your region or if your folk builders want to help set up a Zoom call with people in your region, I think that's a great idea as well to bring people together. I like that. Interdependence is better than independence. Um, we've spent so much time thinking about being strong individuals, which is very important. But we need to come together and have strong individuals form a strong community. And that's what the AFA has done so beautifully. And that's what anyone who hasn't taken part in that yet, I really hope you come to join us and be part of that because we're building something very beautiful. All right, James. So just started this last month. We're only 1 month into it. For the very first time, we have an adult introduction to Austertrue and the Austertrue Folk Assembly class. And people are really enjoying that, really diving in and participating. That's something that one of our folk builders, Brandy Callahan, is running, and she's doing a great job with it. Um, it's not just a telling you about Austertrue, but it's very much interactive and asking questions and getting you to think and to process on the lore a little bit and about our worldview and to kind of come to understand what the AFA is about, how we do things, and to get a better understanding of Austertrue itself. And this is for anybody that just wants to bone up on some things, or for brand new people to kind of find their way into what we're doing. So if you're interested in that, Brady Callahan's the one to talk to, and hopefully Mandy can throw up her email address on the side. And you guys are right over on the side. We definitely take strength from one another. That's one of the most important things about community is that we get to benefit from each other's strength. There's something very magical that happens when we gather in community, especially when we do it in a sacred context and as a faithful people under the sight of our gods. When we gather together to practice Austertrue, when we gather together as our AFA family, we're more than the sum of our parts. Something happens that our value isn't just, if there's 5 of us, it's not just 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. There's an X factor there that makes us so much better than we would be just as individuals. And it's hard to explain that if you haven't participated in it, but it's palpable. You can feel it. And so, yeah, I really do encourage everyone to come out and be part of this. Sherilyn, absolutely. Our apprentice folk builders and folk builders are absolutely the tip of the spear. They're the ones out there laying the groundwork for real life interaction, real life meeting, and for the beginnings and maintenance of that community that we talk about. A lot of folks, wonder how things work and, imagine some sort of AFA genie that can conjure up AFA events places. It doesn't work that way. I really wish I had those powers, but I don't. If AFA things happen in your area, it's because men and women have stepped up to volunteer to lead those endeavors, to make those things happen, to host meetups, to gather people together, sometimes at their home, sometimes at a restaurant, sometimes for a hike. It's an interesting question, Nathan. Not sure how this looks on the other end and if you guys see questions, but Nathan asked, what does it mean that Thor's hammer was won and forged through Loki and the Jotuns? Does that show us that power is realized through the interaction of order and chaos? Yes and no. It's more forged and won through Loki and the dwarves than the Jotuns, but the point remains that there's a catalyst of chaos in there that allows for it to happen, or maybe necessitates its being there. But I want to be really careful on that. Power and greatness is a direct result of struggle, of overcoming adversity, of doing battle with the forces of chaos. And there's absolutely power and greatness that comes through that. But that in no way means that chaos or that struggle in and of itself is a good thing. We want to battle that, and through doing so, become powerful and become great. We want to take the chaos. Very well put, Jim. We want to take chaos where we find it and order the chaos. But that is the source of not only power, but it's the source of opportunity in life. When situations arise, often when challenges and negative situations arise, that's the crucible that forges and welds together and creates for those who are able to stand up to it, for those who are able to harness that negativity and shape it into something beautiful. That's the very tale of our creation. That's what Odin and his brothers did with the primal giant to build the beauty that's all around us. And that's fundamental to what we do. I hope that addresses what you're asking. Michaela, I'm glad. I hope that your folk builder in your area is getting you integrated. We've got amazing AFA community, all across this country, and surprisingly in 15 different countries around the world. So, the AFA community is something we're so very proud of, and it's growing every day and getting better. What else we got tonight? What's on y'all's mind this evening? James is asking if there's an option for families to join the AFA, as in like a family membership. Yes and no. So this brings us to the Hoftoller. For the longest time, the AFA's membership was it's kind of a membership dues model, and that was based on individual memberships individual members paying a monthly fee, and that's what a lot of folks do. But 2 years ago, we started to shift things, and a major advance in the AFA has been folks paying Hoftoller. And the Hoftoller is much more of it is a percentage-based giving. It's people giving a percentage of their income, 1% or greater, to the AFA so that we share in each other's success or we share in each other's lean time. And that's been a big leap forward and a huge helpful thing. And this is getting to the question. No, a standard application is one individual, and we would encourage every adult in a family to become AFA members. But if you're choosing to get in with the Hoftoller and you want to base that on your family income, then absolutely, anyone who does that, we certainly want to acknowledge their spouse or the adult members of their family as part of that. So be sure to let your folk builder know if that's the case. Either way, families of AFA members are always welcome to be part of what we do. Family is such a key to everything we're about. All right. So Michaela asked what advice I would give somebody starting out. It's a really broad topic, but here's some things that come to mind, I guess. I think you need to have courage, and I think you need to have openness. I think you need to have the courage to get out of your comfort zone, to meet people that you don't know, and to do something that may be different than something you've done before, and to have the openness to make those friends, to become part of what you're doing, to take part in ritual, to take part in the AFA activities, even if they seem different to you, even if you're not naturally outgoing, to push yourself to do those things, because I think that's the only way you're going to find those rewards. I know that was important to me when I started, and I think that's important to anybody just starting out. So I'd say jump right in enthusiastically, get to know people, open yourself up to the gods, but very importantly and often overlooked, especially at first, open yourself up to your ancestors. Invite them into your life. Invite them into your heart. Invite them to be in your home and part of your daily life. And I think when you do that, everything starts working better. Everything comes together. So I think courage and openness are extremely important. Tyler, as a matter of fact, this last weekend, the AFA, we have been having discussions about creating a homeschooling curriculum for AFA families. We are not very far along on it. As the person right behind your comment mentioned, we do have a youth program, but I know that's far from a true homeschooling curriculum. That's a project that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort on, but it is something that we're talking about. It's something that behind the scenes we're trying to see what we can do, what we're able to accomplish. I don't want to make any promises right now, but I would love to see that happen. Here in a couple of years, I'm going to be homeschooling my daughter, and like so many parents, I think that would be an amazing thing. So that is something I'm going to try to work on, and I'm going to see what we can do about. Thank you, James. I too encourage everybody to do the Hoftoller option. It's changed the game for the Austrian Folk Assembly. The folks that are willing to donate in that way, we appreciate your generosity first and foremost. But that's enabled us to, in a very short amount of time, do amazing things. It's the reason that in 2020 we were able to establish 2 Hofs in 1 year. The Hoftoller makes things that were used to be just dreams. It brings those things within our grasp, and it makes this move forward at such a better pace. So thank you so much to folks who've chosen to donate by Hoftoller. And if you're interested, please reach out to your folk builder. They can get you all set up. It's a very easy process. There's a lot of options on how to do it to where it works the best for you and your family. Yeah, Jim, go ahead and reach out to Crystal there. She will get you all set up, and she'll teach you how to get other people set up on it as well. Sorry, guys, I'm scrolling through the questions on the side. Um, Got somebody on the side asking for someone looking to join the AFA with an interest in eventually becoming a leader in the AFA community. What steps can they take to shield themselves and their family from cancel culture? If there is one thing I wish that I had the magical answer for, or I could give you a magical shield for, it would be that. I wish there's something I could sit here and tell you that you can be super active and never have to worry about cancel culture. I wish I can, but I can't. World that we live in, we have enemies all around us, and we have the cancel culture is in full swing, and it's something very important to think about. And it's very easy to just say, "Hey, sack up and go out there and swing for the fences and don't worry about it." But folks have careers, they have families, they have people depending on them. I know that it's much harder than all that. What I will say is the best thing you can do, because if you want to be a leader in the Austrian Folk Assembly, we need to see your face, we need to use your real name. We pride ourselves in the AFA on the fact that we practice Austrian in the daylight. We're not hiding, we're proud of who we are, and we're proud of what we do. That said, the best shield you have from cancel culture, and it's not perfect, is to act with nobility and with maturity. It may feel really good to go out there and say something extreme or to let off some steam or to let your guard down and express yourself in a way that might not be becoming. Sometimes there are things that are politically incorrect but need to be said. By all means, say those things, but say them in a way that you would say in front of your children, that you'd say in front of your grandparents, and that ultimately you'd be willing to say in front of the world. Say those things in a noble way that presents you in a dignified light and presents us in a dignified light. Most of the damage that I've seen in cancel culture has come from people who thought that they were on a secure platform and with a fake name and a fake picture, just let off some steam, go and buck wild for a little bit. And then people put two and two together, connected them to their alter ego, and took everything with no context, with no humor, and made them look like comic book villains. Don't do that. Present your views in a way that you'd be proud to. And it does take a little bit of that courage, though. So, yeah, I think that's the best. That's the best advice I've gotten. I wish it was better. I wish it was something foolproof that could prevent any kind of cancel culture. If I knew how to do that, I'd still be on Facebook. But I think standing up for what we believe in, being true to the gods, being true to each other, and living in an authentic way is more important than that. But yeah, thank you very much for your question. Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question. What if I'm part of another group that is non-religious, but it's folkish? Werewolf of Odin, please clarify that a little bit for me. I'm sorry if I'm missing what you're saying. It's okay, Rob. We'll be around for a while yet. Don't worry. I'm glad that everybody who's coming in and joining us a little bit later, thank you. This has proven such a better platform to do this on than Facebook was. And surprisingly, we're getting just as many, if not more, people joining us for these conversations. I'm really happy about that. Can I talk about the AFA Kindred program? Yes, I can. So what we have that's kind of the closest thing to local AFA congregations is our Kindreds. Since the early days in Austrian, folks that have gotten together to practice Austrian together in small groups have been referred to as Kindreds. The Kindred is kind of a local branch of the AFA made up of 3 or more AFA members. Everyone in an AFA Kindred has to be an AFA member, and yeah, they have a local face and a local character to the AFA in their region. Um, it's different in places that we have Hoffs, but so far we only have 3 Hoffs. A couple of years ago, if I said we only have 3 Hoffs, that'd be crazy talk. Having 3 Hoffs is, that's a distant dream, and now that's a reality. Very soon we'll have more Hoffs than that. But in the meantime, our local kindreds are the face of the AFA, and they're really a driving force in a lot of local practice of the Austro Folk Assembly. I believe we have 27 kindreds right now, but I could be wrong. They're all listed at www.runestone.org. And yeah, those folks are really good source of contact and source of activity for the AFA in your area. Jason Gallagher, who asked the question on the side, one of our amazing folk builders, he heads up the Kindred program, and he's the guy you want to ask if folks near you want to form an AFA Kindred. So James asked kind of a follow-up on that. If I'll speak about a misconception some folks have when asking if there's a kindred in the area, as opposed to getting involved in making a kindred. So something about, I compared them to AFA congregations, but something that's interesting about AFA kindreds that's different is it's a voluntary association of people that are very close together. So while they may host something that you're invited to, it's not just open season to be involved in whatever kindred's close to you. That depends on if you fit and if those people invite you into their kindred. But if you see AFA kindreds and it's something you want to do, and you have 2 other AFA members in your area, you guys want to form a tight bond as a local community bonded together by practicing Austro within the AFA, absolutely, you can form your own AFA kindred. We'd love to see that. There's no upper limit on how many kindreds we want to have. If there's multiple kindreds in a town, because those folks just get together really well and form a good community, because that's what this is all about, is building those relationships, then by all means, contact Mr. Gallagher over on the side there and become an AFA kindred. We would love to see that. That's one of the big special things for me, is seeing when those kindred flags, every kindred flag is up on the walls in our Hoffs. And to see those flags go up is always such a big source of pride and something that makes us all happy. And it's cool because at a local Hoff, you'll see these flags from all around the world of others that are gathered, likely at the same time, to worship our gods together as part of that big AFA family. And yes, that's a really beautiful thing. And if you're interested, do reach out to Jason Gallagher, and he'll get you what you need to know to think about becoming an AFA kindred. Michaela, as far as homeschooling stuff, if it's something you really have looked into quite a bit and you know a lot about, if you can get in touch with your local folk builder, and also if you can send an email to Brandy Callahan at bcallahan@runestone.org, it's a conversation that we'd like to start having. So by all means, please do that. Please feel free to email me, Matt Flavel, Flavel, at runestone.org. I would really like to continue this conversation about homeschooling. Thanks. Ice and rock. I'm glad that you're enjoying them. I've wanted to do that for the longest time. I didn't know how to get all of those far-flung AFA videos and get them all on our YouTube channel until just the other day. So I've hit it kind of hard the past couple of days, but it's something I've wanted to do for years. And I'm really excited to have all those up. A lot of those bring back really special memories for me. So I'm glad you're enjoying them. Those who may not know, over the past couple of days, I must have uploaded 20 or so older videos of AFA things, some videos of AFA gatherings, some interviews I've done, some interviews that our founder, Stephen McNallen, did, and also some videos that Steve made. Some of those videos brought many of us, myself included, to Alcitru. So we've tried to find those all that we could and get them uploaded. And I think there's more hiding some places we're going to try to get uploaded as well. Sorry, guys, trying to catch up over on the side. Werewolf Voden, thank you for clarifying your earlier question. Come on down, you're fine. There's no competition there. What your other group does doesn't have anything to do with or any competition in any way with the AFA or with our membership. We got folks that are part of all kind of different groups that join the AFA. We don't want you to be a member of a different Alcitru, like a different church. That would be very strange. But your other groups that you're part of, that's fine. Come on down. We'd love to have you. Hello. A beautiful little daughter is joining us tonight for just a second. This is Aubrey. Aubrey learned how to walk yesterday. She's just 9 months old and she's walking and she's amazing. And I'm so very proud of her. And I'm so very, very lucky to have this little girl. That's very happy guy. Community is reading over on the side. Community is concentric circles, and folks who we would like everyone who is one of our folk who meets our values that wants to practice Alcitru to join the AFA. I know people are involved in a lot of other groups. Like I said, dual church memberships is a strange thing, and that would question the loyalty or the true part of Alcitru in my mind. But other than that, we'd like folks from a lot of different groups to be part of the Alcitru Folk Assembly. Yeah, and Jessica over on the side is clearing that up really good for you and can talk to you more about it, Werewolf of Odin, if you've got any more questions. But absolutely, we don't see any conflict. Daughter stealing my finger, making it hard to scroll over here. All right. GW Farnsworth, I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoy the videos and the website. We try really hard on that. I tell you what, these live conversations, I look forward to them every month. This is a great way to talk to you guys, and absolutely, this is something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm glad that you like it and you're getting something out of it. Werewolf of Odin, let's get you and Trent talking. He's our man in Georgia. He's a great guy. He's a personal friend of mine, and keep trying with him. And if you need to, reach out to me, and I'll get you guys in touch. I'll make that happen. Anytime you guys want, if you guys need, if you can't get a hold of somebody, Matt Flavel at runestone.org, and I'll help connect the dots behind the scenes if something's getting clogged up. Saw your application earlier today. I'm glad to see that. We've got a lot of people applying lately. We've had quite a bit of growth over the past few months, and it's been a really nice thing to watch. Not just numbers, but the people we've been getting have been great. So it's a really good time to be part of the AFA. Hello, Robert. It's good to see you on here. I haven't heard from you in a little bit. I'm glad you're checking in tonight, and I'm glad you're looking at those older YouTube videos. All right, guys. What else do we have tonight? What else would you guys like to talk about? Anybody got any questions or any stuff that you want to know a little bit more about? Got a question over on the side about similarities between Charming of the Plow and Imbolic. And I think there's similarities in time of the year and in springtime rituals all throughout pre-Christian European culture. So I think that similarities are there and are good and are obvious. One of the things that I think is such a hallmark about Charming of the Plow is the emphasis on will and on work. So, and this is a good thing, and I wanted to talk about this tonight. So thank you for asking a little bit about it. Very few of us in this day and age spend a lot of time on the farm cultivating the land. Now, some obviously still do, but the idea of preparing the plow and of tilling the soil it's different for most of our existences. But I think it's more than that. I think what's really important with Charming of the Plow is that we're prepping the tools of our work. What's a powerful symbol to me of the plow is the idea of steel, of something man-made penetrating the hard soil, the unyielding soil, breaking up the earth and implanting and impregnating it with our will. It's all about forcefully inserting our will into the ether, into reality, into the ground. And that's what Charming of the Plow is to us in the Astor Folk Assembly. It's preparing ourselves to make our will happen in the world. Fields don't just randomly produce the harvest that you want. You have to break them up. You have to cultivate. You have to clear land. You have to plant things. You have to make things happen. And that's what Charming of the Plow is to us, is a time of making things happen, of preparing ourselves and the tool of our industry to make our dreams come true, to make our families better, to make the AFA better, to build Hofs, to do all these overtly religious things, but also to feed our families, to succeed at life, to build our dreams, to establish our business, to make our will manifest in the world around us. And that's what the point of Charming of the Plow is to me. And something I'd like us all to think on as we celebrate this year. Yeah, if you like what we're doing, James makes a good point. If you go comment on videos, hit like, everything you can do to beef up those algorithms and get more people to see them, that would certainly help out. We want to cast a wide net for our folk and bring as many of our folk home as we can. Bike trailing. Yeah, kind of. Our kindred's made up of friends. If you aren't friends with those in a kindred, are you therefore not invited? Yes, sort of, but I don't ever want our kindreds to be, some cool guy club. It's not just a friends. Well, I say that. Yes, to be a successful kindred, you need to be friends. You need to be more than friends. You need to be like a big family. And it's easy to be friendly with a lot of people, but it's important that there's a compatibility there to form that core unit of the kindred. So I don't think it's just a friends thing. I think it's a fundamental compatibility thing. And that's really important because those people interact like a family. So it's a subtle difference, but I think it's an important one. So, one of our folk builders, Jason Plurd, is asking why universalists seem to miss the context of the term All Father. I've always found that really interesting. Um, the forces of diversity, or at least those who like to use that word, would presume that their or the person who they call their all father or their, the king of their gods would be the all father of all the other, negating all the other faiths, negating all the indigenous faiths of all the different rainbows of people that they want to let into Ausatru. They would demand that Odin is the all father of all different shades of humanity. And they don't see how fundamentally racist and offensive that would be to all of the other people that they court support from. And I've always found that really funny. Odin is the father of all of our folk. He is the all father, not just because of that, but as the lore specifically says, he is the all father because he is the father of our gods. That doesn't relate to other people's gods, that doesn't relate to other groups of people and individuals. That's completely out of context. And we would never suppose to tell all of the different indigenous cultures of the world that our gods are the only gods and that their gods don't count. That in and of itself is quite offensive and certainly not something that we would suggest. Hey, Alice, I'm glad you're joining us. I heard that we had a moot in Syracuse, New York the other day, and I heard that was amazing. I've heard great things from folks that attended that. Sounds like you guys had a good time. Hi, Shannon. I figured. Um, no, Odin does not ever claim to be the all father of the Utengard or the outside, those outside of the kin fence. Um, that just shows a fundamental lack of understanding of history and people and context and a lot of different things. And I don't think it's a sincere position. I think it's just a fun thing for folks on the left to say. Excellent, excellent. I'm glad you sent the email. I will talk to you more on this homeschooling issue because I think it's very, very important, especially since all of the folks that have been forced to homeschool because of the various responses to the China virus. So yeah, absolutely. I want to talk more. And the AFA is going to have a very serious discussion about homeschooling, the very least about pooling resources, but I'd love to see us come up with some sort of curriculum and to move towards that. How would I address the term Aryan being an exclusively Nazi, neo-Nazi term? Go say that to folks in India and see what their answer would be. That's a very small and pop culture thing. And in the wider sense, the term Aryan is an ancient word. It's the root word of the country Iran. It's also the root word of the name of the country Ireland. Both mean land of the Aryans. It's an ancient word, and to ascribe it to only have a value from, you know, the 1930s to now in in a political context is, I think that's willfully ignorant. I think that's choosing to be ignorant of the fact. It's still a word that's commonly used, to my understanding, in India and by folks who speak and use Sanskrit. It's a noble word. It literally means noble and shiningly noble. And it's a beautiful word. Now, we don't use it all the time in all places because the left is co-opted it and tried to make it ugly and made it their villain to pile stuff on. But it's ours, and I wouldn't hide from the use of it. It's a beautiful word, and it's a really special way of thinking as ourselves and challenging ourselves to be Aryan in what we do, to shine with nobility through our actions and through how we carry ourselves. And so I think it's an important thing. And I don't think the people who complain about it being a Nazi or neo-Nazi term are doing it genuinely. I think those people would complain no matter what you said. What else we got tonight, guys? Is there anything else on your mind or anything else you'd like to make sure we discuss while we have this time together? Well, like I mentioned before, and I talked about it at the top of the discussion tonight, but for folks just joining, I really want us to think this year about relationships and how True is so fundamentally the building of a connectivity and a relationship between us and the gods, between us and our AFA family, and between us and our ancestors. Relationship building is fundamental. And I want us to think about that when we go into ritual practice. I want us to think about that when we contemplate what True is. So many people get so wrapped up in studying obscurity and studying archaeology and all these other things that are really cool things to know. But all of that is frosting on the cake that is your relationship with other practitioners of True, with the gods, with your ancestors. So really keep that at the forefront. Hmm. Um, Jim, I think the confusion comes from up until very recently, religious, cultural, and linguistic were racial. Um, the culture, religion, and linguistics were very specific to groups of people. And the group of people that practiced our culture, religion, and linguistics were our folk, our race of people, and those people were known as Aryan. The word comes into a little bit different use in India because there's been such a mixture of peoples there that it's been relegated to more of a linguistic sense. But originally, it was a group of related peoples, which is what racial means. Hmm. I think that's a good question, Jason. Jason asked how I would encourage our folks to ride the tiger instead of being chased by the tiger. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it's basically when forces around you are violent and chaotic and scary, you can spend your time being chased from that and hiding from that and battling that and maybe getting devoured by that. or you can find ways to use that to your advantage to ride the tiger. And I think there's lots of different ways to do that. One of the most important ways, I think, is to hold your head up and not be so. Our folk, especially younger members of our folk, get very hyper focused on political situations going on. There's a lot of really depressing stuff going on. There's a lot of terrible things going on in the world. There absolutely is. Not going to pretend there's not. But when we obsess about it and we just get so hyper focused on either sarcastic meme culture or on negativity, we miss very realistic opportunities that are presented by every negative circumstance to build and to grow and to do. And there's plenty of those around us. In one of the most crazy years I've ever seen, we got 2 Hoffs. Our membership grew. We had the largest AFA gathering ever during a year where most people weren't able to gather at all. The ways to ride the tiger they're going to be different depending on every circumstance, but being calm, looking for positives, and more important than just looking for positives, looking for opportunities. That's what I would advise folks to do. We are living at a time where, however bad the politics are out there, we've all got food, we've got heat, we've got water, we're comfortable, and we've got each other. We're in a really good spot to seize on opportunities and make the best out of things. Focusing on the Austro Folk Assembly is a huge thing to do that way. And I know it's really self-serving as me being the AFA guy trying to tell you guys to do that. But there's so much in the world that we don't have direct control of fixing. A lot of these bigger problems, there's nothing we as individuals, I say that, I don't mean to be hopeless on it, but there's very little ways we have of accessing those problems and a way to fix them. But within the AFA, we have a very significant group of people that are all here together, and what you do here can have huge impacts on all of us. It's relatively small, but right now, we have 764 members of the Austro Folk Assembly. Number's not huge, but in your day-to-day, how many other opportunities do you have to affect the lives of 764 people? Not many. Even, big deals of small companies don't have that many people involved. You have that many people in your AFA family. You participating in doing something and building something within the AFA is a way to do something good, even when everything outside is crazy. The AFA in of itself, I think, is one of the best ways to ride the tiger. And it certainly is very therapeutic to me when so much outside's crazy. We can make sure things here aren't. Absolutely, Sherilyn. We want to avoid, succumbing to or being scared of name calling. Anyone the left doesn't like is a racist or a Nazi now. We've seen them do it. It doesn't even matter what you look like. If you're a black man that happens to you wear a Trump hat, you're a racist and a Nazi, according to the folks on the left. Those words don't really have that much meaning anymore. No, Doug, we mean Aryan, and it only started getting referred to as Indo-European when scholars became uncomfortable with the term during and post World War II. But the term Aryan and Indo-European are synonymous. Can Christians and pagans get along? If we are Euro-Americans. It's hard to say what that means. Because of the current state of Christianity, I'm sure that we can. I get along with a lot of Christians. I think in a very practical, real way in life, of course we can get along with each other. In a very fundamentalist way, the more Christians get along with pagans, the less authentic I think their Christianity is. And I take that from their teachings, not from ours. But I would encourage all of our folk to get along well. The folks that still find themselves Christians, I'd love for them to come back home to their authentic faith, and I hope that they do. And in the meantime, I'm very happy to get along with them. The Christians of today don't seem to be uh, following the Christianity that would persecute us so bad. So yeah, of course, in a practical way, we can get along with Christians all the time. I get along with Christians. Most of us have, large portions of our family that are Christian. Um, but I would encourage you, if you find Christians that are not bothered by your paganism, bring those people over. Maybe those people would like to come home to House of Truth. Mm. How does personal practice or daily practice look as an altar work and meditation, etc.? I think that looks as different as we have different people. I think one of the ways that looks is sincere. Um, there's no, there's plenty of wrong ways to do it. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of right ways to do it too. I think fundamentally, having a special place in your home, or I mean, maybe it's a place you do something outside, but I personally have my altar in my home. Have it in my stairwell set up with it's kind of a set aside place in my landing in the stairwell, which is the center of my home, and spiraling up the stairs are photographs of my ancestors. So that's kind of a special thing I have in my house, but depends where you're at, you're in an apartment, wherever you're at, a special shelf, a special corner, a special altar, whatever you may have, some image of one of the gods or many of the gods, some pictures of your ancestors, maybe some relics and things that are important to you, but having a set aside space, a quiet time, a still time that you can reach out and give of yourself and commune with the gods and the ancestors. People often will light candles. They'll often offer some incense, or maybe a shot or a swig of a preferred beverage. Our people like meat a lot, but if you're doing something with your ancestors, maybe it's something, maybe your grandpa really liked, my grandpa really liked Jim Beam. Sometimes if I'm trying to connect with my grandfather, then that's what I'll offer. But as I was talking about earlier on tonight, the key is that openness, approaching our gods in a way that and our ancestors in an authentic way, that we're open, that we care, that we're there, and that we want to do right by them. We want to honor them, and we're open to them sharing with us. And I think just doing that, amazing things happen. One thing I like to do in front of my altar is to do affirmations of things that I will do, things that I've reaffirmed promises or commitments that I've made. I think that helps me to be motivated to fulfill them, and I think it makes fulfilling those a sacred act. I think bringing your family involved in those things is very important. I'd also say, as far as altar work and meditation goes, sometimes atmosphere is really important to get you in that space. A lot of times people will do it in the dark with their candles lit, with incense going, because the smell brings them to a spiritual place. Maybe a certain kind of music in the background will help get you there. Very often when I meditate, I'll meditate through Galder work, and that helps. Gives me something to intone and something for me to hear. That triggers some things for me and helps me get there. But I think the key to personal practice is just doing it. And no matter how awkward it may feel, going through doing it, being wide open. And even if it's just, hey, Grandpa, I just want you to know I care, thinking about you. Here's a shot of Jim Beam. I hope you're doing well. As simple and as lame as that may sound, if you've never done it, that's huge. How much would it mean to you if you passed away, you're beyond the veil, and time goes and people think about you less and less, and one of your descendants, 20 years after your pass, raises a shot glass and speaks your name and remembers you with love in their heart? I think that would mean a lot. And I hope that's something that my descendants do for me. Uh, Doug, I don't think that's wholly accurate. I'm sure that's one person's theory or something that they said, but it doesn't account for the linguistics that we find in the West very often. And it certainly doesn't account for the linguistic root of the word Ireland. Now I'm trying to find my spot. Every time I scroll over on the side, it makes it really difficult to find my spot. Sorry about that, guys. Um, I think that's a really smart thing about focusing on this finish line. We need to focus on our goals. And as long as we stay with a mind towards our goals, whatever blockages come in between now and then, we look for ways around them to get to those goals instead of focusing on just the bad thing in front of us. Um, hmm. Yes, Robert, Steve did say that he would gladly work with Christians. Um, I think as long as we're working towards our goals, there's a lot of folks that I would work with, but I would highly encourage, if you're a Christian and you find nothing wrong with our being pagan, I think that should cause folks to question their Christianity a little bit, and those folks maybe should come on over to our side. Hmm. Sorry, guys, I'm just catching up on the side. Uh, what about those of us who don't know our ancestors? Um, so I think that's a special thing, and we've got a number of people and a number of really cool stories of folks in the AFA who were adopted, and they, like I said, the first big thing was they opened up to their ancestors. Now they did the work on their own too, trying to research their genealogy, trying to look into the records and figure out where they came from. But one thing that I've heard and from several different people in the AFA who were adopted, they started doing rituals to their ancestors, and in varying ways, but the commonality being, hey, I didn't know you guys, but I want to know you guys. Here's this offering. I would love to build a relationship with you. My door's always open. You'd be surprised, but just from that, all of a sudden people are finding out where they came from. People are having dreams that are meaningful to them. People are reconnecting with ancestors that they didn't know they had due to their adoption. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and it's helped a lot of people. So I would really encourage you either way to do that and just see what happens. You won't be worse off than you are, and I think you might be surprised at some really really cool things that could happen because of it. Shannon, absolutely. I would suggest you bring your own children into the AFA. I would want everybody's children, all of our folks' children, to be involved in the Austria Folk Assembly. We're a place for children and for families. We want that. That's the key to what we're doing. It's the key to our future. Please bring them. The youth program is a great way to get them started and to get them involved so that when they're old enough to be officially AFA members, they can have that backing and have that foundation. But yeah, absolutely. Please bring your children, have your children be involved. That's one of the important things I on the subject of, maybe you don't know your ancestors. One thing that we can all say completely factually, we all have ancestors. If we didn't have all of those lines of ancestors, we wouldn't be here. And that's a really simple and whatever thing to say, but it's a very important thing to realize. Connecting with your ancestors, they're there and they exist. Whether you know their names, they still exist. And, I have to believe that beyond the veil, you may not know them, but they know you. And the more you reach out and make that effort, things have a way of happening. But just the realization that you may never know, a name or a place, but those people exist. And you have a line of people back to the very beginning of our folk that exist, that were able to bring you to the place that you are today. Just acknowledging that in a ritual context adds something to your practice. And so I'd really encourage you to do that. Okay, so we have somebody asking about books in our store that are sold out. It depends on the books that are sold out in the store. If you're seeing them pop up as sold out, then I'm not doing a good enough job on the back end of taking them down, and I will try to get better at that. Steve's book is almost sold out, or as of this broadcast, may be sold out. We have a back order of that. Whenever the next round of publishing goes on that, we'll get it. A lot of those books we're in talks on whether or not we're going to restock. We want to stock books that are AFA specific, certainly, but the generic history books about, Vikings or whatever else, those are very easy for folks to get and much more economic for folks to get on Amazon or other booksellers. So we're talking about whether we do want to buy an amount of stock in that, because it involves us housing the inventory and shelling out the money for the stock when so many people are able to get those at a much better price and much easier on other booksellers. We really want to focus on our own material though and make sure we have that there. So we are talking about whether or not to restock some of those books. Is there a plan to get a Hoff in the Northeast? Absolutely there is. What time and when that's going to happen, I don't know. But that is something that we've thought about. We're considering a number of different locations for our next Hoff. And that is a strong, one of the regions that's up front in that consideration. We're going to keep building Hoffs as long as we have the sustainability to operate them properly, and we have the folks and the volunteers in the area to do them justice and to take care of them. So there will absolutely be a Hoff in the Northeast. It's just a matter of when that's going to happen. Print on demand services for the sold out items. The trouble is the sold out items that he's referring to aren't our material. There are other books that are, like Penguin or various other publishing people's books that we're selling or reselling through our site. So we can't print those on demand. Having a print on demand option for AFA materials is absolutely something to think about. But we don't have a problem stocking those either. But no, looking into print on demand is a really smart thing for us to do for some things. All right, guys, we're a little bit over how long we usually go. If anybody has last questions, please go ahead and get those to me. In the meantime, I'd like to address, James asked what my vision is for 2021 and how we can best be part of the vision. And I'll do that here. I see Jim asked about stocking other things such as shirts. We have a couple of things we're working on behind the scenes, Jim, to get stocked on the store. Figuring out how to stock the merchandise on the store is kind of a process, but we're talking to a number of different people about that right now. If you have ideas on stuff you'd like to see, please hit me on the back end and we'll see about having that discussion. But to James's question, vision for 2021. I would like to take the momentum that we had by establishing Hoffs and by having such a successful midsummer in 2020 and push that momentum forward in 2021 by really maximizing the community specifically around our 3 Hoffs. We're fixing to open up and do the dedication of Baldershof, and then we will, for the first time, have 3 Hoffs up and running to worship our gods, to gather our folk, to be involved in our community, to do charitable outreach, to do all of those things. And in 2021, I really want to see those things happen. Also, I want to continue an artistic effort that was started last year. Last year, with the beautiful mural that Witten Svan Harrell painted at Thorshof, we really started to incorporate more art and more beauty in a lot of the things that we do. I'd like to see that continue throughout 2021. I'd like to continue this growth. So we planted the seeds in 2020 of getting all of these folk builders. And you guys may notice, but we've had a massive influx of apprentice folk builders. I want to see that roll into an increase in our membership. I'd like folks in 2021 to be empowered to tell their friends, tell their family about the Austru Folk Assembly. Share these videos with them. Send them to www.runestone.org and get those folks joining. If everyone here went out and talked to people are often so scared to talk to their friends and family. That's where we should start on trying to bring people in. There's some kind of a misconception that we don't proselytize. No, we absolutely do proselytize and should proselytize. We don't go door to door and harass people, but we want to bring our folk home. We want to get everybody who should be here and at least give them the invite to be here. And that's how you can be a part of what the 2021 vision is. Bring people around. If you are fortunate enough to live anywhere near Murdoch, Minnesota, Linden, North Carolina, or Brownsville, California, bring folks out. We've seen Odenshof be such a magnet for so many of our people to come home. We've got so many people who, because of Odenshof, have joined and become such an important part of our AFA family. Do that at Thorshof, do that at Baldershof, and then we'll move on to the next Hof. So that's how you can be part of that vision for 2021. All right, guys, I really appreciate y'all joining me tonight. We got great things going on. I hope I see many of you up at Charming of the Plow in Washington. I also hope I see you guys next month at Ostara in the South for the first time at Thorshof in Linden, North Carolina. That's going to be an amazing thing, and I'm so excited to be there. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I hope you all have an amazing evening, and look forward to talking to you guys next time. Hail the gods, hail the folk, hail the AFA.